Hey YouTube, Jim here. Welcome to Top 10 Archive. Have you ever wondered how we really know whether someone in history really existed or not? It's hard to know what's a real story and what's an idea someone came up with to get everyone following an ideology. In fact, some people that we thought were real have turned out to just be really believable stories. Ready to see if you've been duped? Check out these top 10 famous people who never existed that we compiled for your viewing pleasure. But before we get started, why not become an archivist today by clicking that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you end up enjoying this video, let us know by giving it a thumbs up, and in the comments section, tell us about other famous people who never existed. Number 10. Mrs. Butterworths. Since 1961, when Mrs. Butterworths made her debut on the shelves and through countless ads and TV commercials, she's been warming our hearts and sweetening our pancakes and waffles. Though what many people didn't know is that she was never based on a real person. When you read up on her using a search engine, you'll find many interesting debates about her ethnic background, most people arguing that she's either Caucasian or African American descent. But the company put an end to that debate by announcing that Mrs. Butterworths is not intended to be of any specific ethnic origin. One thing is for certain about the character, though, and that's when most people imagine a bottle of maple syrup, they think of her. Number 9. Larry the Quaker Oats Guy. I know the first thing you are thinking. The Quaker Oats Guy is named Larry? Well, according to Quaker Oat insiders, that's actually his name. But what you probably didn't know is that Larry, the Quaker Oats dude, never actually existed. Established in 1877 as the Quaker Mill Company, the company, as of 2001, is now owned by PepsiCo and was acquired for $14 billion. When the company was founded, Quakers were much more plentiful and known about. But today, when someone hears the word Quaker, they immediately think of the porridge that their moms shoveled down their throats as children. The founder, Henry Parsons Kroll, was not a Quaker himself, but upon passing away in 1944, he donated more than 70% of his wealth to the Kroll Trust, a charitable evangelical Christianity foundation who's been known to speak out against the idea of evolution. Number 8. Aunt Jemima. If there is any face you attach to pancakes, it has to be that of Aunt Jemima. In fact, her trademark goes back to 1889. Pancakes have been Aunt Jemima's turf for over a century, and as of 2019, her brand of syrup actually triples the number of consumers of Mrs. Butterworths. So, keeping in mind that no actual Jemima ever existed, aunt or otherwise, there was actually a spokesperson who she was loosely based on. The company's mascot was actually based on a somewhat racist history. Known as a mammy archetype, the mascot is depicting your typical heavy-set black slave woman who cooks for white families. Over the years, the mascot has slimmed down because of public outcry, but the origin remains the same. So, who was Aunt Jemima's mascot? Her name was Nancy Green, a heavy-set African-American slave who happened to be the first African-American model that was hired to promote a corporate trademark. Number 7. Betty Crocker. Not so surprising after Jemima's case, Betty Crocker is also a sham. A company that was later absorbed by General Mills was named the Washburn Crosby Company of Minneapolis and was receiving heaps of requests for answers about baking questions when they advertised a puzzle in the Saturday Evening Post. So, what would any marketing genius do? Sign it with a name. Why a female name? Well, the company decided that women trusted other women when it came to questions about cooking. They mixed the last name of a company executive, William Crocker, with Betty in 1921, which continued to be a popular name all through the 40s and 50s. The signature was drawn up by all the secretaries to see who would make it onto the box, and the winner remains on the package to this day. In 1936, they added a face to the signature when artist Nasa McMain blended the faces of all the women in the company's home service department. Her face has since been changed 7 times, making her younger, more professional, more multicultural, and more to change with the times. Number 6. William Tell. Apart from being a great song, William Tell is a folk hero from Switzerland said to have killed a tyrant with a crossbow. Despite his name being in a bunch of places and being the inspiration of musical masterpieces, it turns out he wasn't even real. This is the same guy who was so good with a crossbow that he supposedly shot an arrow into an apple on a child's head. We should have known then he was too good to be true. Number 5. Paul Bunyan. Despite having statues in California, Minnesota, Maine, Michigan, and Oregon, just to name a few, glamorized in song and in cartoons, in movies like Tall Tale, and even as the Michigan State football rivalry trophy, the man, you guessed it, never actually existed. Instead, Paul Bunyan was simply a giant lumberjack in American and Canadian folklore who was probably invented and used to make lumberjacks work harder, and for advertising purposes. Some of his accomplishments include creating the Grand Canyon by pulling his axe behind him, creating Mount Hood by putting stones on his campfire, and for clearing out entire forests by himself in record time. Number 4. Pierre Brassau. Journalist Ake Dake Axelson created a fake artist named Pierre Brassau to fool art critics, and it was a total success. Brassau was supposedly a famous French artist, according to the journalist, and he pitched art critics that they'd be differentiating Brassau's art from a chimpanzee's work. Guess what? All the art was made by a real chimpanzee, and the art critics said Brassau's art, or whatever they thought was Brassau's, was the next big thing, and the chimpanzees was no good. I wish we could have seen their faces when they found out the truth. Number 3. John Barron. Thinking back now, everyone should have known that someone with a name like John Barron was a fake. Back in the day, the 80s to be exact, they didn't think twice when they called the Trump Organization and were directed to Trump's spokesman and then quoted him in several print stories for years. Later, Trump appeared in court and said he was the real John Barron, or rather, John Barron was actually him and had been the whole time. Did anyone talk to him on the phone? Because I feel like that would be pretty telling. Number 2. Robin Hood. Though everyone knows his name, Robin Hood is nothing more than a legend to remind people of where we should put our priorities. Some scholars have tried to prove his existence, but there are so many stories about what he did, where and when he did them, that it's extremely unlikely that any of his accomplishments ever actually happened. Still, the spirit of stealing from the rich and giving to the poor lives on in many hearts and figures in history who have felt inspired by the legend. Number 1. Sherlock Holmes. Many people still don't know that our beloved Sherlock Holmes did not actually exist. We love him as the clueless and hilarious figure, even when played by Will Ferrell. However, the character was created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, a British writer with a great imagination, and it's entirely fictional. There's good news, though. Doyle, seeing people's affection for the character, did say that certain aspects of him were taken from Joseph Bell, a surgeon and lecturer. So let's put Bell's face on Holmes' character and call it a day. Thanks for watching. Know any other famous people who aren't actually real? Let us know in the comments. Bet you didn't know I'm not real either. Just a CGI image. Just kidding. Or am I? Be sure to subscribe, click the bell, and give this video a real thumbs up.